In today's video, we are going to discuss the Cognizant Digital Nurture 5.0 Java plus interview experience. I'll be covering the complete technical questions that were asked in the interview. The interview happened on 13 August 2026 and lasted approximately 1 hour and 30 minutes. The interviewer covered core Java, OOPS, exception handling, coding, SQL, data structure, Spring Boot, JWT, logging, design patterns, and the HTML and CSS. So if you are preparing for a similar Cognizant interview, make sure you watch the complete video. Let's start with the core Java and OOPS. The first question was, what are the four pillars of object-oriented programming? The four pillars are encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. But the interviewer didn't stop with the definition. The candidate was asked to connect these concepts with the actual project. For example, where did you use the encapsulation? Which class implements it? Which file contains the implementation, and can you write the exact code? The interviewers also asked how abstraction was achieved and why polymorphism was happening. So the main takeaway is, don't just memorize OOPS definition. Know exactly where these concepts are used in your project. Next, the interview moved to exception handling. The question was, tell me every term that you know related to Java, exception in Java. The candidates need to know checked and unchecked exception, exception hierarchy, try, catch, finally throw, throws, and custom exceptions. The interviewers also asked about get message, print stack trace, and get cause. Then came another questions, how do you create a custom exception? For example, we can create a resource not found exception when a requested resource is not available. So make sure you understand not only the definition but also how exceptions are actually used in applications. Now let's come to the coding question. The interview asks, do you know what an anagram is? An anagram is when two words contain the same characters with the same frequency but in a different order. For example, LISTN, listen, and silent are anagrams. The interviewers also ask for the implementation logics to check whether two strings are anagrams. So while preparing coding questions, understand both the problem and the logic behind solving it. The next coding question was based on the date and time. The interview asked the candidates to take date and time as input, subtract 1 day, then add 11 days, 3 hours and 32 minutes, and print the final date and time. They mainly checks your understanding of the Java date and time API. So make sure you are comfortable with the syntax, commonly used methods, and the required imports. Next, the interviewer asked about different Java versions. The questions were, what are the features introduced in Java 8, Java 17, and Java 21? For Java 8, the interviewer specifically discussed functional interface, lambda expressions, and method references. There are also a follow-up. How do you execute a lambda expression? The candidates was also expected to write the implementation. The discussion then moved to Java 17 and Java 21, including sealed classes. So if you mention these Java versions in your resume, be ready to explain their important features and write small codes, simple codes for examples. Now let's move to the SQL. The interviewer gave a left join scenario. Suppose the student table has 10 records and the address table has 12 records. Out of those 10 students, 9 have an address. The interview asks, if you perform a left join from student to address, how many records will you get? The important part was to explain the reasoning and understand how a left join handles records from the left table. So make sure you understand joins practically rather than only memorizing definitions. Next, there were two SQL questions. The interviewer asked, we have union and union all, then why do we need join in SQL. Union combines query results vertically and removes duplicate, while union all keeps duplicates. Joins are different because they combine related data from different tables using a relation between columns. Then the interviewer asks, create a table with student name, college name, city name, and address, and the follow up was which column will be your primary key and why. So you should understand primary key, uniqueness, and why a particular column is suitable. Next, the interviewer moved to data structures. The question was explain stack and its implementation. Then the interviewer asked for real world examples of stack. The main concepts of last in first out. Important operations are push, pop, and peek. Push adds an element, pop removes the top element, and peek returns the top element without removing it. The stack can be implemented using arrays or linked list. Real world examples include a stack of plates, undo operations, browse back functionality, and function calls stacks. After stack, the interviewer moved to JWT authentication with Springboard. The question was explain JWT authentication with Springboard. The follows up was write the implementation or code for JWT authentication. The candidates needed to explain JWT generation, authentication flow, token validation, authorization, JWT filter, and Spring security. Again, this was not only a theoretical question. The interviewer expected practical implementation as well. So if you mention Springboard and JWT in your resume, make sure you understand the complete authentication flow. Next was logging. The interviewer asked, how is logging used in your project? Then, how is logging actually handled in companies? The candidate discussed console logging, file based logging, and retrieving logs from files. But then the interviewer asked, if you know this, why haven't you implemented it in your projects, and why haven't you worked on it earlier? This shows how an interview can take a simple questions and go deeper. So whenever you say you know something, be ready to explain where you use it and why. Next was the strategy design pattern. The interviewer asked, explain the strategy design pattern. The candidates needed to explain what is a design pattern, what is a strategy pattern, why is it used, how does it work, a real world example, and project implementation. So don't just memorize the definition, understand what problem the strategy pattern solves and how you can use it in your project. After that, the interview moved to HTML and CSS. The question was, what are the special features introduced in HTML5? Important topics include semantic elements, audio, video, canvas, SVG, local storage, session storage, geolocation, and new form elements. So even if your main focus is on Java and Springboard, don't completely ignore front-end basics when preparing for a Java plus React interviews. Finally, technical questions was also about CSS selectors. What like an interviewer asked, what is the difference between class level selector and the ID selector, and then what are their use cases? A class selector is generally used for multiple elements, while an ID selector is used to identify a specific element. It's a basic questions, but you should be able to clearly explain the difference and use cases. Now this is probably the most important part of the interview. The interviewer repeatedly moved from theory to projects and then to the code. Questions included, where did you use this in your project? Which class? Which file? Can you write the code? Why did you implement it this way? How exactly does it work? So the interview was not only checking whether the candidates knew definition, they wanted to know whether the candidates actually understand the technologies used in the project. The overall flow was concept, project implementation, code, and then reasoning. Okay, let's quickly go through the complete preparation checklist. For Java and OOPS, prepare for pillars explaining their usage in your project. For exception, prepare checked and unchecked exception hierarchy, try catch finally, throw versus throws, custom exceptions and methods like get message, print stack trees and get cause. For coding, prepare anagram problems and data and type manipulations and many more. Some basics programs will be there, prepare those. And for Java, prepare Java 8, Java 17 and Java 21 features along with functional interface, lambda expressions, method references and seal classes. The main point is to prepare both theory and implementation. Finally, let's talk about the preparation. The main topic is Core Java, OOPS, exception, Java 8, 12 and 21, coding, SQL, stacks, Spring Boot, JWT, logging, design patterns, HTML and CSS and your project. And the biggest takeaway from this interview is know your project inside out. Don't just know the technology name mentions in your resume. Know where you use them and why you use them, which classes are involved, how the implementation works, and be ready to write the code. So remember, prepare smart, know the concept, be ready to code. That's it for today's video. I hope this interview experience helped you to understand what kind of questions you can accept in the Cognizant Digital Nurture interview. All the best for the preparation. Keep learning, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.